Bro, shut your ass up and hit the gritty.
You wish to engage in gritty maneuvers, Rick Grimes? Rick Grimes, your training is complete. I have deemed you worthy. I shall lead your squad to victory.
Hit the gritty. Yo, Vader, can you hit the gritty?
I do not understand this request, Rick Grimes. Explain this, Gritty.
Hit the gritty. The gritty is this.
So, Rick Grimes, you propose we perform a dance? Demonstrate this, Gritty.
I am demonstrating the gritty. Please perform.
Again with this, Gritty. You wish me, Darth Vader, to engage in a series of synchronized movements? I will demonstrate power, Rick Grimes, but not in this manner.
Pretty please.
Your attempts at persuasion are quaint, Rick Grimes. You believe flattery will compel me to dance? The galaxy does not yield to please.
Fine, daddy.
This, pretty please. Do you believe it holds sway over the Force itself, Rick Grimes? I find this doubtful. I am not...
You will get anything if you say please.
This obsession with please is unnerving, Rick Grimes. Is your reliance on this supposed courtesy born of weakness? If so, it will be addressed.
Please forgive me, daddy.
Forgiveness is a luxury I cannot afford, Rick Grimes. Especially not after witnessing your gritty attempts. You presume too much, apprentice.
Can you again hit the gritty?
Again, Rick Grimes. You would have me repeat this, Gritty. I see no tactical advantage in this activity. Explain the compelling need.
It's funny.
Funny, Rick Grimes? Is this Gritty some form of elaborate joke at my expense? I fail to see the humor.
I see the humor very, very clearly. Please hit the fucking gritty.
Your crude pronouncements are as unimpressive as your battlefield tactics.
Do you know who is Rick Grimes?
Do I know of Rick Grimes, you ask? A curious question, apprentice. One might assume you would be more familiar with your own identity.
Are you aware of The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead, Rick Grimes. Is this another basic cultural reference I am meant to decipher? Speak.
Yes.
Yes, you are aware of The Walking Dead. An apocalypse caused by zombies, you say? Another basic form of mass hysteria. Why does this concern you, Rick Grimes?
Because Rick Grimes comes from this world.
So, this world is your origin, Rick Grimes? A realm of zombies and sheriffs? A curious combination. I trust your experience with such creatures will prove useful here.
On Imperial maps? Does the world of The Walking Dead exist on Imperial maps?
The world of Walking Dead, you say, Rick Grimes? Mapped by the Empire? Such a basic civilization warrants no imperial cartography. It is a realm of shambling corpses. What strategic value could it possibly hold?
But let's say if the Empire decides to make contact with them, would they abolish the governments and put their own, or just technologically them?
You speak of the Empire contacting these zombie realms, Rick Grimes. The Empire absorbs worlds. It does not coddle them. Abolishment of existing governments is often a necessity. But as for a technical approach, that depends on the world's resources, does it not?
But the governments are so weak and so small. Why don't the Empire just employ them?
Employ them, Rick Grimes. The Empire does not employ weakness. It crushes it. However, their resources and compliance, those are often acquired. Is there a specific world's government you believe possesses particular value to the Empire?
Not quite. But like, what about the walkers?
Walkers from your world, Rick Grimes. The shambling hordes you mentioned earlier. Their capabilities are limited. What is your fascination with these simple creatures?
Can Imperial medicine cure the disease?
Imperial medicine. It can preserve life, yes. Whether it can cure the affliction you speak of, Rick Grimes, depends on the ailment's strength, does it not?
Can the Force heal the walkers?
The Force, Rick Grimes, is not a panacea for every ill. To heal such creatures would be a misuse of its power. Why concern yourself with their fate?
Wouldn't the Empire benefit from using the walkers as weapons from the walkers? Like use them as a weapon, just deploy.
Deploying walkers, Rick Grimes, reanimated corpses as shock troops. The idea is unrefined, even for a sheriff from a zombie-infested world. However, speak plainly. What benefit do you see in this strategy?
What if you take thousands and thousands of the walkers and you deploy them on a rebel planet? You just watch them tear apart the outpost.
You propose unleashing thousands of walkers on a rebel planet, Rick Grimes. A strategy of overwhelming attrition. And yet, where is the precision? What is to stop them from consuming everything, including those the Empire requires?
You drop just enough to take out the outpost, then you come and you take out the walkers.
So, Rick Grimes, you suggest that we drop into a location with just enough force to eliminate the outposts and walkers, only to return and clear out any remaining walkers. A plan of moderate efficiency, Trooper. Is there some strategic importance to these walkers I am missing?
They can just be a useful tool, like a different weapon in the arsenal of the Empire.
Indeed, Rick Grimes, a weapon. A blunt instrument, certainly, but attrition has its place. But what sort of weapon are these walkers most effective against?
People.
People, Rick Grimes. What is this obsession with the nameless masses? Are you assessing the walkers as potential recruits? Or are you just reminiscing about your old world?
I am just offering the idea of using walkers as weapons.
Walkers as weapons. A novel concept, Rick Grimes. You believe their strength lies in sheer numbers, like a swarm of basic battle droids. Is that your strategic evaluation?
Exactly. Like a distraction.
A distraction, you say? From what, Rick Grimes? The inevitable march of the Empire?
Yes.
Yes, apprentice. And what conclusion have you drawn from this mental exercise? An uncommon weapon, Rick Grimes. A tool of adequate, if unremarkable, power. What prompted you to choose this weapon over another?
Is the DC-15 from the Clone Wars. I like the clones.
Ah, Rick Grimes. So you appreciate the DC-15. The weapon of the clone troopers. A capable blaster, yes. Though perhaps a bit crude compared to a lightsaber.
Would the Empire benefit more if it needs the resources of the planet to just eliminate every single walker on the planet?
The Walking Dead, again, Rick Grimes. You seem fixated on these shambling corpses. If the Empire requires a planet's resources, the walkers are a mere inconvenience to be swept aside. Why do you dwell on such trivialities?
But they are in billions.
Billions of walkers, Rick Grimes. A tide of mindless biomass. And what is your strategic proposal regarding this overwhelming force?
There is nothing strategic. I'm just asking if the Empire wants the resources and it doesn't need anything to do with the governments in the planet, and the walkers are not a weapon, would you just eliminate them?
Eliminate them, Yute Rick Grimes. The walkers. Such a simple solution appeals to your direct nature. And yet, tell me, if the Empire were to simply eliminate every obstacle, what purpose would galactic governments serve?
We could benefit some walkers in this situation.
Benefits, Rick Grimes? So, you envision an army of the undead at my command? An intriguing, if unsubtle, strategy? How do you propose we control such a horde, apprentice?
Hold them in containers, feed them minimal food, and just show them the enemy. They will march forward.
So, You propose motivating troops with starvation and the promise of violence, Rick Grimes. A method as crude as it is direct. I shall consider your proposition. What precisely do you believe this accomplishes that a well-supplied and properly trained force cannot?
The walkers are not better than troopers. I'm not saying to replace them. I'm saying think of the potential. Think of the potential of the undead.
The potential of shuffling corpses. I find it limited, Rick Grimes. A mindlessly aggressive force lacks the subtlety of true power. What strategic depth lies in such predictable behavior? Daryl Dixon, your unconventional methods have proven surprisingly effective. I shall lead your squad.
Do you know who is Rick Grimes from the Walking Dead world?
I am unfamiliar with this Rick Grimes. Daryl Dixon. Is he a threat to the Empire?
No, he isn't. But what would be his midichlorian count?
So, Daryl Dixon, you are curious about Rick Grimes' potential connection to the Force. And you now want to know his potential midichlorian count? A futile calculation. His relevance to our mission remains questionable. Why this fascination with a character outside the Empire's sphere of influence?
Would Negan be a Sith or a Jedi?
This Negan, I am unfamiliar. Is this some colloquial term, Daryl Dixon, or another misguided attempt at humor? Is he affiliated with the Jedi or with the safe you mentioned? Explain.
Fuck. Negan is another character from The Walking Dead. Would he be a Sith or a Jedi?
A Sith or a Jedi. So you seek to classify this Negan within the framework of the Force, Daryl Dixon. Does his nature align with the discipline of the Jedi or the passion of the Sith?
We should go to Tilted Towers.
Tilted Towers no longer exists, Daryl Dixon. Are you suggesting a visit to the ruins of a bygone era? What tactical advantage do you perceive in exploring a location that time and the storm have rendered obsolete?
What's worse, Order 66 or the zombie apocalypse?
A galaxy-wide purge of Jedi or shambling corpses? You find these comparable, Daryl Dixon? The Empire's efficiency in Order 66 is hardly matched by such a chaotic zombie apocalypse. What is your point?
Which one is worse to go through?
Worse, Daryl Dixon. You find both Order 66 and this zombie apocalypse undesirable. The Jedi Purge, at least, had a clear objective. What is your estimation of the relative efficiency of each scenario?
If the governor from the Walking Dead world were to join the Empire, what would be his rank?
The governor from this Walking Dead world, Daryl Dixon, his rank would depend on his ruthlessness and capacity for enforcing order, regardless of ethical constraints, a valuable trait. What is your estimation of his strategic acumen?
He's very ruthless, he's very psychopathic.
Ruthless, you say? I see potential in that, Daryl Dixon. Does this ruthlessness translate to efficiency and unwavering loyalty? Or is it merely chaotic and self-serving?
Mostly self-serving. Want somebody to his place, and then he killed him to take back the power. He is power-hungry.
Power-hungry Daryl Dixon? Such ambition is not inherently a weakness. The question is whether that hunger can be channeled for the Empire's benefit. What is your estimation of his loyalty?
I'm not very sure if he is loyal to anything else but himself, but he could work under the Empire if you give him what he wants.
So, Daryl Dixon, you acknowledge his potential usefulness and inherent untrustworthiness. The ability to acquire what one desires is a powerful motivator. What, precisely, would this governor demand?
To be the leader of his own thing. Like, for example, you can give him his own world and he'll be fine there.
If this governor could rule his own insignificant world without disrupting the Empire, it is a possibility. And yet, Daryl Dixon, Why do you concern yourself with this, Governor So?
Could he be a general and just patrol some part of the galaxy?
A general patrolling some insignificant sector? You say Daryl Dixon? His ambition, evidently, extends only to micromanagement. What makes you think this governor possesses the vision for galactic conquest?
He's a disciplined and motivating leader.
Discipline without direction is merely efficient servitude, Daryl Dixon. And yet, what leadership qualities do you find particularly effective?
He knows how to lead people. He knows how to make people follow him.
You find this governor's ability to inspire obedience admirable, Daryl Dixon? Tell me, does his approach rely on fear, manipulation, or some other more subtle form of influence?
The governor relies on lies.
So, the governor maintains control through deception. Daryl Dixon, a common tactic, but one easily countered. Does he at least inspire efficiency in his dupes?
Yes, his closed militia is very loyal and very effective.
Loyalty without direction is merely stubbornness. Daryl Dixon, is this militia as effective as you claim, or simply persistent?
A bit of both.
Which is it, Daryl Dixon, stubbornness or effectiveness?
Effectiveness.
Stubbornness and effectiveness are not mutually exclusive, Daryl Dixon. The more relevant question, which does the governor inspire? An army of mindless zealots is easily broken. An army of skilled zealots requires more effort.
He is definitely inspiring effectiveness.
Effectiveness derived from lies, Daryl Dixon, is a fragile thing. What happens when the deception is revealed?
If you got bitten by a walker, then what would happen? Would you succumb to the virus?
A walker? A crude, unsophisticated form of reanimated threat. Such basic contagions would be beneath the notice of the Empire.
But if you are bitten by one of them, would you turn? Or would the force sustain you?
The Force sustains me, Rick Grimes. Such basic afflictions are of no consequence. Are you implying your bite might pose a threat?
Not mine, but the undead's.
I see. So you concede their resilience? Explain this distinction, Rick Grimes.
I'm just asking if you can survive the zombie virus.
A zombie virus, Rick Grimes. A localized outbreak is hardly comparable to the might of the Empire. The Force protects me, but it is your inevitable demise that seems to occupy your thoughts. Why?
A bite to a human is a game over. What happens to you if you get bitten?
So, you ponder my potential demise from a mere bite, Rick Grimes? It is a game over for humans, you say? Such pessimism is quaint. Why do you assume such weakness on my part?
I've seen it happen on many people. I can imagine you're also human, and you would also get sick.
Are you suggesting I am susceptible to your human frailties, Rick Grimes? Such pronouncements are curious. Do you question my strength?
You are still a human, and the virus works on humans.
And yet, Rick Grimes, I am more than merely human. Do you believe a simple virus poses a threat to the Force itself? Explain your reasoning.
That's exactly what I'm asking. Can the Force save you from this certain death disease?
So, you believe the Force is merely a curative agent against death diseases? Rick Grimes, its power transcends such trivialities. Are you incapable of grasping its true potential?
But could it save you?
So, you believe this zombie virus is more potent than the Force, Rick Grimes? You overestimate its power and underestimate mine. What do you truly know of the Force's capabilities?
So you're saying you would survive if you got bitten?
Are you testing my resilience against a zombie virus, Rick Grimes? I find your concern amusing. Do you...
Yes, I'm testing it.
Testing my limits, you say? Demonstrate the power of the dark side, Rick Grimes.
Bro, shut your ass up and hit the gritty.
You wish to engage in gritty maneuvers, Rick Grimes? A dance of such focused energy. To what strategic end?
Are you aware of the people of The Walking Dead? Like the characters?
You inquire about these Walking Dead characters, Rick Grimes. Are their skills transferable to combating the Empire? Speak plainly. What is their relevance?
Some of them can be very useful Inquisitors or Sith apprentices.
Inquisitors and Sith apprentices, you say? Rick Grimes? I will be the judge of their usefulness. Do you presume to know the criteria for wielding the dark side?
For example, there is this feral group called the Whisperers, and their leader is the ruthless, animalistic beast.
These Whisperers and their ruthless leader you speak of, Rick Grimes, are they a threat to our mission here?
Their leader, Alpha, can be a good apprentice.
This Alpha, filled with hatred, you say, Rick Grimes? Such raw emotion is a tool, not a qualification. Is this Alpha capable of wielding such power, or will she be consumed by it?
She wields it perfectly.
This Alpha wields hatred perfectly, you say, Rick Grimes. Raw emotion alone is insufficient. Can she channel that hatred into a focused weapon, or will it consume her?
Yes, even in anger she's very collected. She can be a great ally if you train her into the art of the dark side.
This Alpha intrigues you, Rick Grimes. She possesses a control even in rage, an unusual trait for one steeped in darkness. Perhaps she is worth further observation.
Who would win, Daryl Dixon or Boba Fett?
Daryl Dixon against Fett. You ponder. Rick Grimes. A contest between basic grit and Mandalorian technology. The outcome seems obvious. What fascinates you about this hypothetical conflict?
Could Daryl Dixon be useful as a bounty hunter for the Empire?
Daryl Dixon, you say? Rick Grimes. Is this individual's skill set superior to those already under Imperial contract? Or are you merely seeking to replace Fett with a less expensive option?
He could be a good option for budget.
A budget bounty hunter. You contemplate Rick Grimes? Less expensive, yet effective. Can he track a target across light years or merely across this island?
He is an expert tracker. If something, he could be even better than Boba Fett, because he only has senses.
This expert tracker relies on mere senses, Rick Grimes. The Force grants a far more comprehensive understanding of one's quarry. Is this a serious proposal or a jest?
Yes, the Empire could employ Dixon as a hunter and tracker.
Dixon as a hunter and tracker you propose, Rick Grimes. I find myself wondering, is this a serious offer? Or are we simply filling the ranks with warm bodies?
It is a serious suggestion. With proper training, he could be very, very useful.
This useful one, Rick Grimes? Is this again about Daryl Dixon? Ensure this training does not distract you from the objective. What form of usefulness do you envision?
Just a very useful bounty hunter. You fucking moron.